Peace, everybody. It's the coolest legendary is the Kool DJ Red Alert. It's not all about me, it's about MV Online. Check it out.
That doesn't know, could you tell them how you got into the DJing game?
How I got involved into DJing is a mixture of different things. Growing up in colonial projects behind the Polo Grounds in Harlem, that's where I grew up at. I was being amazed by my man by the name of Otis that was in the project. They had a massive sound system, you know, and at that time it was the state of the art. Where, you know, you can go under his window on the second floor and look up in his window, and you know, you see the speakers mounted up on the wall. You see the reel to reel. I mean, you know, you little kid, you be like amazed at this. So I was amazed by how clear the sound and everything. Besides that, at home, on the behalf of my brother, my older brother, he had a large record collection, so I always learned a little bit of everything as far as music concerned. Number one, I come from a Caribbean background, Antigua, West Indies. So in the household, it's not only listening to what you heard on radio, what you heard in the streets, but also in the house I heard a lot of calypso, merengue, soca, and my brother used to collect a lot of music at that time. You know, some Motown, some soul, some funk, some Caribbean, some Latin, you know. So I was open-minded, and I think that's what led me into being influenced with music. I went to school up in the Bronx called D. Clinton High School. During the time I was going to that school, and I don't have no shame in giving this away, talking about in the 70s, in the mid-70s, I was able to go sneak downtown, and at that time it was the disco era, when they were playing the dance, disco, R&B. And I was listening to various DJs like Plummer, Pete DJ Jones, rest in peace Grandmaster Flowers, that's where Flash got the Grandmaster from. A guy named Charisma, rest in peace, the Together Brothers. But even though I would go sneaking down there on a Thursday and Friday, on a Saturday, from learning about who this guy was from going to school with the guys in Clinton High School in the Bronx, they used to always talk about a guy by the name of Herc. So I used to go and check out him. And by learning the styles that they were playing downtown, the styles that Herc was playing, and by being musically inclined by, you know, what I see in the neighborhood, encouraged me that when I went away to college for a year and a half, I got a scholarship, I used to play ball. I took up communication engineering, and I got my 3rd class license for radio. Now when I come back, after a year and a half, you got a whole new slew of people. You got Flash, you got AJ, you got the L Brothers that feature the youngest, who was Grand Wizard Theodore. It's a whole lot of people in the Bronx, so that encouraged me to go ahead and start, you know, saving up my money, working in the garment district, buying my pieces of equipment little by little, turntable here, turntable there, mixer. Every weekend, after payday, go to the record store, pick it up, all the latest records. And by me listening to them and watching them, taught me how to practice. Nobody taught me, I taught by looking, watching, and I taught myself. One thing I have learned as far as when I got involved with the business, you don't own what you get involved with. Here it is, they're giving you an opportunity to come in to build, to make something out of it. Not only that, you don't last there forever. Only very few that you see, like a Reggie Miller, with his whole entire life at the Indiana Pacers, you know, but I'm just using it as an excuse. You know, or even like you see Kobe to this day still with the Lakers. You gotta understand, and this is what a gentleman taught me a long time ago. He said, Red, there's something you gotta learn, you gotta face in life. Change. Whatever it is, do not last the same forever. You gotta learn to adapt to change. You gotta learn to adapt where, you know, you can't be too comfortable with where you live at, where you be at, or what you do. So, by me getting involved with Kiss FM, I always going to consider my home. After 11 years, and I saw the machine. When I say the machine, I'm talking about corporate America. Start making their moves and shaking the move here and there. I had to learn to adapt to that because they call the shots, you know. when they was closing out Kiss FM for what the format we was doing, and the company that owned Hot 97 bought Kiss FM, they took it upon themselves to come after Wendy Williams and I to come over from Kiss over to Hot. Now, that's a blessing because they could have considered like, okay, your time is up. But they felt my time wasn't up, so they brought me over there. And then I did 7 years at Hot. There were some differences I had at my last year at Hot. So I pulled out for about maybe a good 3 months. And then I reconsidered, I went back to Kiss because they said you want to come back. I did a year there, and then afterwards, I had an offer to go to Power. So sometimes you got to learn to take it upon yourself to maintain your strategy, maintain your position, maintain your sense of business, and learn to adapt because you don't own none of this. And not only that, I got involved there, I also got involved with Satellite when it first launched. You know, these are things you got to learn to be open to everybody right now. The reason why you saw why the DJ was fading away for being the face for the group because when it came to the recording, making music, making records, making songs, it wasn't the DJ that you heard. You heard the MC, which later become rappers. Still MCs out there. So the same thing at one point when you heard Eric B for President by Eric B and Rakim, you heard more about Eric B, but everybody thought Eric B was the one rhyming. No, it was Rakim. So what had happened that the record companies started learning how to push forward the person who actually rapping on the records and push their profile more. The DJs right along with them, but you need to acknowledge more of the MC. That's why when you heard Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, Flash got that platform, but you need to acknowledge the MCs. And who came out more? Melly Mel. Same thing with all these other groups. You always heard the DJ name along. The only very few groups that you saw, they kept it a balance. Like when you heard Gangstar.
Yes.
Here it is. They kept it a balance. You know, that's how it's supposed to be side to side. But it was always the company that would learn how to push forth the MC. Now what had became later on is a phase that came along was called the mixtapes. How the mixtapes came along, big up to my man, the world famous Brucey B. And may he rest in peace, who just passed away, my man Star Child. They were the first two that started doing the mixtapes. Brucey B emerged at the Rooftop, Star Child emerged at the Fever. Who the person that came back under them because he was making a name for himself and started taking it to the next level was Kid Capri. After Kid Capri, you know, you named them all. Ron G, Triple C, D-Demo, but wow, I mean, SNS, the list is long. So now from the street value, the title mixtape became synonymous. It really became a big game, a brand. And that's why you saw DJs on radio took that like a Funkmaster Flex and called the mixtape. Now, I remember in the past, I did a couple of what you call compilation albums. The first time I did was song for song, interact in between my son and I. But then when I heard how everybody wanted to hear the same thing what I did on the radio, so I made it sound like the radio. Flex took the title mixtape and called it the tape. The radio stations later on started seeing how popular the cats that was doing mixtapes was in the street. They start picking them up. Clue, K-Slave, MV. So now that's what it became. But what really got a little ugly, that the DJs were seeing how all the rappers, MCs, who they are, want to be on their mixtape. So they said, okay, no problem. You gotta take care of me. Some of them felt like, okay, but others felt like, nah, So you took a person like who I respect, a 50 Cent, and said, guess what? I don't need no DJ. I do my own mixtape. I'm not a DJ, but I'm gonna put out my own music. Because there are some DJs later on, sad to say, that it's supposed to be a mixtape, but when you heard them, it wasn't really mixing. It was just throwing stuff on. Hollering on the mic and throwing stuff on. So here it is that 50 took that blueprint, said, I can do this shit my damn self. I can hire on the mic myself and put my own stuff out. And then before you know that, that blueprint for rappers and MCs, everybody far behind that. That's right.
A female MC has always been a slew of them, a crew of them, a core of relevant female MCs. For the past few years, there haven't been any. I mean, you can go all the way from Miss Melody to Nikki B,
Lady
Kim,
Rage.
Kim, Foxy, the list goes on and on. MC Light, Roxanne Shante. So understanding that, in your opinion, why do you think there's a lack of female MCs? There's only that one that's being pushed to the forefront. Like in your opinion, you come from an era too where this is so regular for the lack of female MCs that are in the industry right now being showcased.
I think it became more image than talent. One thing I learned within today's time, that the majority of people fall behind image and technology instead of talent. You have to have a proven point in the past of how good you sound or what you do. From the very beginning, Sha Rock proved her point what she could do on that microphone. Lisa Lee proved her point what she could do on that microphone. Within years later, you have various other MCs that came along. Salt and Pepper proved their point. Sweet Tea proved their point. And then a little after that, Queen Latifah proved that point. The list is long. A lot of them that don't get the just do, like Bahamadia, and a lot of other underground female MCs that don't get their just due. I think what had changed when it came into the 90s, that between Little Kim and Foxy became more sexism instead of the talent. They had some talent, I'm not taking it away from them, but it became more sexism. So, sex sells. And sex sells, the machine, corporate, that own these companies is going to utilize that to push their product. So now, how many people come behind them besides a Brat? Or even Remy Ma has some special lyrics, but they kept on pushing that image that, now how many others come after them where do you sound as good as you look?
With the big controversy, I don't know if you heard with Ebro has been going, the program director for Hot 97. He felt like he had to defend what was being played on the radio, because a few of the East Coast artists have stated and said, you're not playing our records, you're not supporting your home, you're not supporting anything around you. You keep playing records down south, and you're only playing southern records. And I guess we've kind of fallen off, in a sense of, in a lot of people's opinion, we're not really relevant. So I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, do you agree with that? And if you do, or if you don't, then whose fault is it if you do agree with that?
First and foremost, respect to my man Ebro. I'm gonna tell you why I say respect to it, even though some people may say, how you gonna respect? No. Mm-hmm. The man is playing his position as far as keeping a job. The higher ups that's over him, the corporates, is looking upon for him to go after the popular music that is out there to be played. Now, during my time coming up at KISS, playing hip hop is still a diamond in the rough. We did not get heard until we was on the weekends. What was ever a popular rap song was not getting heard until past 6 o'clock in the evening. And it may have been probably 3 tops. So what I'm trying to say is that corporate later on started capturing on to see how popular rap music became. When it became so popular, and they start forming this thing in the early 90s, a lot of people don't know about it, called duopoly. Duopoly is a title standing for when a company or corporation can own more than one radio station in the same market. When I say market, in the same city. So here come the Clear Channels, the Cox, the Emmis. There's quite a few different companies that gathering up all these stations. But they were not allowing programmers to still do what they do as far as programming music. What they did, they started going after these research departments. The research department started breaking down and letting everybody know what is popular across the board. Now mind you, at one point in time, when I was coming up, and I was DJing in different cities, I was willing to come back, bring something different that you never heard in New York from no matter wherever it was at. If it sounded good, I'll bring it back and play it. Now, no matter wherever you go, everything sounds the same. Corporations depended on research to make everything sound whatever's the best. And that's why everything sounds bland now. So, Ebro is going to speak for himself as well as for the station, but he's saving that ass. Because he got to listen to the high up telling, well, you know, this is what's going on, this is what is the top 20, this is what the most popular, this is what the most played, this is what we need to be playing. Yes, indies in all different markets in their local areas need to be exposed, deserve their just due. That's why you have a K-Slay. That's why you have various other people still like him that go ahead and play that underground stuff. But mind you, to all you MCs and rappers, do not put your all on the radio. Learn to develop yourself in the street. Develop your craft, develop your talent, develop your brand. To become who you are so you can be accepted.
You give to anybody trying to start, that's trying to start DJing, like any young kids or anybody trying to get into this game DJing, what one piece of advice would you give them?
Not because I'm from the past, but I know I had to pay my dues of the people before me, and knowing that my background consists of what I've said earlier, that I spent time listening to music under my grandparents and my brother, and listening to what my man was doing in the neighborhood. If you can go to school and take up history class, social studies, and you want to get into DJ, take up and learn about what does it take to be a DJ, instead of letting the image and technology make you become a DJ. Do your homework. Learn how to earn, learn how to build your talent. And at the same time, learn to acknowledge the business. Because a lot of people become DJs because it's so acceptable today, you know? Only technology lets you become a DJ overnight. You can go ahead, you know, put it this way. I remember when the iPods first started. I remember when all the shorties used to come and say, yeah, I got an iPod, I got this amount of songs, that amount of songs, and they probably did not know most of the songs they had on there, but they just had it. Same thing with DJs. They get all these songs, but they keep on playing the same rotating of the other stuff.